Hello everybody, welcome to Red Tool House. On today's video we're going to fire up the mill again and we're going to mill some more lumber for our barn and our greenhouse project. But first we're going to show how we're utilizing a handy tool here to select the log, the tree that we want out of our forest before we actually cut it down and turn it into a log, see what kind of yield we can get. So the tool to which I'm referring is a logger's tape, and I guess it's nothing super extraordinary, but the neat thing about it is, A, it's heavy duty, B, it's got a nice little clip so you can clip it on your belt, hands free. It's got a little nail in the end of it that you can push in to the bark of a tree to hold that in position. And it actually, it's printed on both sides, but one side is typical linear feet. So if I just wanted to use linear length, that makes a whole lot of sense. So if I was going to use it just for measuring length, then I could take this nail and stick it into the end of this red oak log here. I can just run it off and voila, I know that this is 14 feet 7 inches. So standard tape there, I could have that hooked to my belt and have my hands free. But what's really neat, what I like about it, and the reason why I purchased it, because tape measure is tape measure, is the other side has diameter gradient. So if this log was standing up or was in a way that, in a manner that I could get around it, then I could put this tape around it and it would tell me the diameter of the log, which again will help me determine the size of the canter that I can get out. So the real purpose, the reason why I bought it, and it's not the cheapest thing. I mean, who pays $70 for a tape measure? The cameraman raised her eyebrows. You're not supposed to say that in front of the wife. Okay, so the purpose for that is, like today, I need to come up with 8-inch or 8.5-inch wide boards. So that's what I'm shooting for. And to just randomly go through the woods and say, oh, hey, that looks like a big log, I'm going to cut that. Obviously I could do it, but there's specific areas where we want to cut. Obviously there's areas we want to leave alone. But I'm standing now in an area that we want to open up more. We want more pasture in here. So looking at this poplar, I'd like to cut poplar. It's a decent size. I want to see if it's going to yield what I need from it. So I can take this and obviously just reach around and I can stick this nail in it here, bring the tape around and figure out that this is right at 12.5 inches in diameter. So it's, because of that gradient on that tape, it's letting me know that this log is 12.5 inches across. Now granted, that's at this height. To get a true idea of what size cant, and of course the cant is this squared off log after I've milled all the bark off of it. To get a true idea of what the size of the cant is, then I actually need to cut this log and then measure the diameter of the smallest end, the tip. But right now this gives me a good idea. At chest height, I am 12.5 inches. So if I go up a little bit more, I know we'll get smaller. So can roughly say, well, maybe 12 inches, maybe 11.5, just a rough estimate. We'll measure that when we get it on the ground. But I can also just calculate here as well to say, usually the cant size you can get out of a log diameter is about 30%. Now there's equations, there's all kinds of different variations on that, and I'm sure you guys that saw would maybe have another way of calculating that or disagree with me. But what I've seen, and I can't remember, somebody commented and even told me about this, and I appreciate that tip, that it's roughly 30% of your log diameter. So if it's a 12-inch diameter log, then we should be able to get 30% of that in a square cant. 30% off of 12 gets you around 8. Now again, that's not exact yet until we get on the ground and measure it, but knowing that I want 8-inch wide boards, this could work. So I'm probably going to go ahead and put this guy on the ground. It's actually very close to the mill. In fact, if I was brave enough, I could lay it down and right beside the mill, right, Kel? But I'm not that brave. We're going to lay it uphill. And the other thing we've got to watch today, we call it barber chairing, and maybe that's not the exact right term for that. Barber chairing, I know, is when you cut a tree and it starts to fall and it splits, and actually because of the way it splits, it comes back on you and kills you. That's the sad part of barber chairing. But we're going to drop this tree and we're going to try to drop it uphill. I don't know if the camera's picking up the slope of this hill. This hill's pretty steep. It's probably 60% grade, maybe steeper. But I want it to fall that way. I don't want it to fall the way towards the camera is, simply because that puts it across my road, across 2 sections of fence, and I don't want to have to mess with all that. If I lay it down this way, then I should be able to hook my chain to it and the tractor and just pull it on out of here. So that's what we're going to try to do. A little breezy today, not too bad. If there were a lot of leaves on and the wind was a little higher, then I would probably say, no, we're not going to cut today, but we're going to give this a try. hooks on that wire. If I was an aircraft carrier pilot, that's a lot of fun. Okay, we should probably change the name of this video, shouldn't we? What would we change it to?
The Wild Adventures of Rental House.
Dummy doesn't know how to cut a tree, or the log that couldn't.
Or frustration.
Is there a little tea kettle? It's like, Troy's head pops off. All right, well now we have the log on the ground after 14 hours. And it's actually not a very nice log. Got a big scar in the back of it. But let's just see what we ended up with lengthwise here using our toy. We got to show the wife that we can get as much value out of this as possible.
Right.
Justify its expense, right, Kel?
Exactly.
All right, so before I got to a big knuckle, I got, hey, look, right at 22 feet. Man, I am the estimator.
That's what I like to call you.
Blind estimator. Something that rhymes with it, baby, right? Okay, so 22 feet exactly gives me two 11-foot logs if I want that. I really don't want two 11. There's quite a few things I can do here. I need less than 8 feet to finish the greenhouse. I need whatever length for just the last couple pieces of flooring in the loft of the barn. We'll cut it up. We'll see. Just come along with us on the ride here.
You don't know what length you need for the floor?
Well, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it can be whatever. The issue is, it's the width that I need more importantly. Mm. So I need to get...
What width are you using for the greenhouse?
Greenhouse is 8. The floor up there is actually 8.5. But I could get away with like 8 1/4. A little crack. You're not going to fall through that.
We're all about perfection here.
We are. Remember, our other name we were going to choose. Yeehaw. Let's do...
That's not what we should strive for, though.
Right. Well, striving for surviving. Strive to survive. Alrighty, well, so we estimated that when we used our log measure over there, we got a 12.5 inch, which we said 30% of that would be 8-ish, right, Kel? I think that's what we said, 8-inch square cant. So we ended up with an 8.5 by 9 cant, but we have a little bit of wane on it, so that's fairly accurate. Now this was an ugly log. In fact, it's actually got some dead spot in it. We've got a little bit of punkiness where I have to cut around. But we're going to be able to get out of what we need, I think, and so we'll just mill it up. So that's a handy little tape measure. Again, justify the expense. I'm not sure. You'd have to do a lot of milling, which we plan to do, right, Kel? Right. But I'll post a link below where you can find that on Amazon if you want that one. Like I said, it's pretty heavy duty. We've got good reviews, so we'll see how it goes. But we're going to keep milling and get some wood for the barn and finish up the siding on the greenhouse. Anything else?
I think that covers it.
All right, take care, everybody.